Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. Welcome to Transfer Hub, your home of Aston Villa's transfer news, links, rumours, noise, murmurings, incomings, outgoings, and reunions. That's a new one. Right, guys. If you are enjoying the content, make sure you are smashing that subscribe button. Let's see the subscribers go up this week now. So do your bit, get involved, support the channel. We're getting into pre-season. If you want to comment your thoughts and get involved like everybody else, it goes off like a fan forum in the comment section. Have your say. That's the area for you to do it. So get on board and smash the likes. Let's go for 800 likes on this episode. So cheers for all the support over the course of this closed season. We've no Aston Villa playing football. Right, we've got a rumour and the Chelsea boys are reporting it. So we're going to report on it. And we're going to take a look at this article, an exclusive article revealing that Unai Emery wants a reunion with Nicolas Jackson. So we're going to go into it. We're going to read into the article. We're going to try and decipher it. Then we're going to have a look at Jackson and we're going to compare him to Ollie Watkins. And then we're going to sort of discuss while we go where we feel like this has us. Is it a partnership? Is it a replacement? Is it a position change for Jackson? So we'll have a real look into it. But before we do, let's have a little look at the article then. So exclusive Emery on reunion with £100,000 a week striker at Aston Villa. Aston Villa are ready to enter discussions over what it would take to tempt Nicolas Jackson to embark on a fresh challenge at Villa Park if Premier League counterparts Chelsea choose to put him on the market as preparations are made for next season. It talks about allowing John Duran to go. Villa's head coach Unai is determined to secure additional firepower and fresh competition for Ollie Watkins. So the article is suggesting it's fresh competition with Ollie Watkins during the newly reopened summer transfer window. Villa pinpoint Jackson as a possible recruit. Emery's eyeing a reunion with Jackson at Aston Villa after previously working with him at La Liga giants Villarreal, according to Give Me Sport sources, but he's having to remain patient as Chelsea have not publicly confirmed whether they will be prepared to sanction his departure during the summer. Although the Blues are in a strong negotiation position, wait for this, guys. Wait for these words to come out my mouth. Aston Villa want to discover whether Jackson will be deemed surplus to requirements or fall down the pecking order since Liam Delap's arrival. Right, here we go. This is the part that I'm talking about. Although Blues are in a strong position and under no pressure to cash in, as the striker still has 8. I repeat, 8 years left on his contract. 8, mate. What? How many years did he sign for? He's still got 8 years on his contract, which allows him to pocket 100 grand a week. Whoa! So there we go. That's where the article. So obviously Chelsea are in a position where they're looking to strengthen still. They're looking after wingers. Liam Delap's arrived. Do they want 2 strikers? Jackson could leave. Now, let's get my thoughts on Jackson to start with. And then we'll compare the two. Now, stick around for when I compare the two because it's very insightful what I will show you when we get to that phase. So Jackson, as a striker, what do I think of Jackson? I rate him and I think he's decent. I think he's good, solid, a threat. Do I feel like he's next level? He's 24 tomorrow. Do I feel like he take Villa's strike force to a different stratosphere? No. I think it's very okay. meh, bit doesn't really excite me. Now that's not, I'm not hammering him. I'm not saying he's a bad player. What attributes do I like about him? I like that he can drop deep at times. I like that he can hold it up. I like that he's got a good turn of pace. I like that he gets into good areas, but he misses chances. And that's okay. Like every player misses chances. Is he clinical? No. Is his technique refined? No. So when I'm looking at a striker, and on tomorrow's episode that we release, we'll go into a lot more detail on strikers. So we've done our scouting episode for strikers. So this episode kind of merges into that, which I think is going to be quite nice. Ball striking ability, not clean, not elite, not Isaac, not Haaland scuffs shots, but he's clinical. They go in the back of the net, whereas Jackson scuffs and they'll go wide, or he'll scuff and miss hit. You have that element to it. So at 24, there's still years left for him to be refined into a better player, which I think is a good side to Jackson. The right coach can enhance Jackson, which I think is a good possibility. So if we were to lose Watkins, which I don't think is going to happen, I wouldn't really want Jackson to be replacing Ollie Watkins. Now, if Jackson is potentially being brought in, like the article suggests, to strengthen Villa's strike force and have two of them, or have Jackson in a different role, a different position, then maybe that's something more that would probably excite me that we could look into. But Jackson as a first choice striker, I don't think that's for me. So there we go. Like Emery spoke before about playing two strikers together. But even then, I've been very reluctant to see Watkins and Durant. I didn't think it worked. And I don't think Jackson and Watkins would work either. I don't think that would work. I think they've both got similar sorts of attributes and traits that probably run through each other's game, that put together probably is a bit of a clash. There's a bounce off, I think. Probably first touch bounce off, to be fair. But there we go. So if he was brought in as a player to enhance the front line, rotation, squad, you're spending a decent amount of money, then okay, but not first choice for me. Not first choice. But the other element to this is just my honest thoughts. You guys let me know yours. The other added element to this that we've got to look at, and is important, is the relationship between Unai Emery and Nicolas Jackson. That cannot be overlooked, because the two have massive amounts of respect for each other. Jackson spoke about last season that Unai Emery was the one that taught him everything. So when a player's talking like that about somebody's teaching you everything, there's a lot of respect there. Now we go back to Emery talking about Jackson when we were about to play Chelsea, and this is what he said. I'm very happy for him, but of course, hopefully on Sunday, he's not performing in his best. He went on to say he was starting the pre-season with the under-21s, and when he was progressively coming to train with us, he was showing his potential, remembers Emery during conversations at the training game. We worked during the 1 year on his skill. He improved his understanding better. How he could exploit his potential, and playing minutes and getting experiences was the next step. But his attitude was fantastic. He was always learning. He was always demanding to train more, to be focused. He was also being a professional every day, out of training sessions and at home, because he was focused on football like the first priority in his life. Now, that is very, very important for Emery. That last phase there is music. Emery probably takes this and injects it into his arms every night, basically saying He's focused on football like the first priority in his life. Now, for Emery, who is that demanding and intense on the training pitch, remember when Emery spoke last season about the first thing the players have got to think of when they wake up is about football and Villa and playing for Villa in this running? That's Emery there. So Emery really rates Jackson. Now, we know that Emery can improve players. We know that Emery does that. So can Emery, if Jackson was to come to Villa, can Emery refine him even more? Now, if he can, brilliant, because he got 10 goals and 5 assists. Now, if you improve on 10 goals and 5 assists, you start getting into that 20 goal involvement ratio, which Watkins is in, then the numbers are pretty decent. So could Emery want to put him into a different position? Maybe. But would Jackson want to be first choice? Probably. Now, we're going to have a little look now. We're going to compare the two. We're going to start with FB ref to start with. So there's going to be a bit of to and fro between the two. And this is where my main concern would come from with Jackson and Watkins together, or the replacement. Okay, so non-penalty goals, we've got Nicolas Jackson on 0.41. Ollie Watkins, non-penalty goals, we have got Watkins on 0.41. So passing wise, 72.8 for Watkins, and we've got for Jackson 75.9. Progressive passes and progressive carries, Jackson 1.54 and 1.91 progressive carries. For Watkins, we've got 1.09, 1.80. If we have a little look now, I saw this that I thought was quite important, which touches in the attacking penalty area. So let me just find that. So touches in the attacking penalty area, 5.63 for Watkins. And for Nicolas Jackson, we have got 5.72. Progressive carries for Jackson, 1.91. And for Watkins, we have got 1.80. So a lot of their metrics are very similar. So what you can get with that is, if Jackson was a replacement, then he's pretty similar. If they work together, you're getting the same sort of output. And like I mentioned earlier, Jackson, 23, 24 tomorrow, high pressing, positioning. What's Watkins good at? High pressing. If we have a look at some of his stats from last season, 30 appearances, 28 starts, 10 goals, goal conversion rate of 13%, assist 5. Let's have a little look at duels then. I think that's quite important. So Jackson was at 38% total duels, ground duels 38, aerials 38. We have a look at Watkins' duels, and we'll compare his duels as well. So 29 years of age is Watkins. And if we have a look heat map, you can see Jackson's probably a little bit more on the right at times, but both in similar sort of areas. Goal conversion rate for Watkins is at 19%. So it suggests that Jackson doesn't convert them as much. Duels, 36 duels won for Watkins. Ground, 32. Aerials, 41. So that would have Watkins winning slightly more aerial duels with that. Let's just double check. So aerials, Watkins wins slightly more. So the moral of the story, guys, is that both of them are pretty similar. Now, let's just have a quick look at Nicolas Jackson's market value. Now, we've got our striker episode tomorrow. So on that episode, you will find out about a striker that I would like at Villa. That is pretty realistic for us to get, and who is actually really good and performing to a high level. Now, if we have a look at transfer market, we can see that his rate 50 million is sort of the fee there. He went to Chelsea for, what was the fee there? 30, was it around 38? It was about 38, wasn't it? About 38, I think 35. So I wouldn't imagine that his market value has risen. I would say it's probably stayed the same. That would be what I would get from it. Yeah, so like I say, tomorrow we've got a skating episode. So we're going really in depth on strikers. There's names in there that we mentioned, but I'll save that for tomorrow. So there we go. Let's just have a quick little look at his time at Villarreal, because Emery sort of left during his breakthrough season. So I don't really know how many goals he got while Emery was still there. So if we have a look at this then, so if we go to La Liga, so we can see in La Liga he played 2 seasons, the 21-22, where he played 9 games, started none, and then we go into the season that Emery left to go to Villa halfway through, 26 appearances, 16. He's got 12 goals and he got 4 assists. So that was his sort of like breakthrough season. So the most he's ever scored was 23-24, where he got 17 goals and 6 assists. Last season, his numbers were slightly less. So it's interesting. I think it's a good topic of conversation for the comment section. And the Chelsea boys are talking about Jackson to Villa. They're also mentioning Rodgers to Chelsea being opportunistic. But I actually feel like they're getting that from me, because when Ben Jacobs was on ours, that's the phrase that he used, and that's the phrase that they're using. So I don't know whether that's coming from what he actually said on our show, but there we go. So fixtures come out. We went live earlier, which was good fun, good chat, and something that has come out that we will add on the fixtures. A bit hot for a cup of tea, isn't it? But you just fancy one. Is that the first 5 Europa League games, Aston Villa are at home after all of those games. Now that, you couldn't have asked for anything better there. So the first 5 Europa League games, the game after's at Villa Park. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So the fact that if we're travelling away, we come back to Villa with the crowd lifting. And don't forget that during last season, that period between playing Champions League and Premier League, that period, Bournemouth, Ipswich, that was the period that probably cost us. Now, yes, we dropped those points at Villa Park, but what I think will happen next season is that we will be fully aware that that can't happen again. So the atmosphere is better. So I think the players will be fully aware of that as well. So it's interesting. I think it's good. It's good news. And I think that's a positive for Aston Villa. So I just thought we would talk about Jackson, because I don't think it's as cut and dry as sort of saying, nah, he's crap, like he's useless. He's not. He's a decent striker. And I think he probably gets a little bit too much criticism for what he's like and how he plays. I like I say, I think he's decent, but he's decent, good enough for Villa. But then, like I say earlier, I think there's more to it than just signing him. I think it's the Emery factor. I think it's them together. You see all through football, don't you? Managers take and like to take certain players with them. Elmo, you know, and Bruce took Elmo to Hull, to Villa, you know, and those types of players really work. Conte with Lukaku won the league with Napoli, won it with Chelsea. You know, they have that connection and that partnership, and I think it's important. So, Villa fans, let me know. Nice little decent long one. So let me know your thoughts on Jackson, honest thoughts, and I'll look forward to reading them. So, up the Villa.